Right now we're in a forgotten gold mine below Wandiligong. But above us was once a booming industrial town built on gold. Where did it all begin? Well, subscribe and let's go back to the start.
Many would be familiar with the picturesque little township of Wandiligong, situated only a few kilometres south of the tourist township of Bright in northeastern Victoria. Today it's a quiet scene of picturesque weatherboard cottages and old buildings. But 100 years ago, this whole valley was a totally different place. The cultural landscape of Wandi, or Dilligong as it used to be known, owes its existence to one sole soft yellow chemical malleable element. Gold. The first record of gold being found in this valley was in March 1854, when a number of of diggers were prospecting and working profitable quantities of gold in growlers and Morses creeks. Now there were about 200 miners in this very early mid-1850s time, and this whole area would have been a scene of prospectors working with cradles and gold pans and sluice boxes, and about the banks all around here would have been canvas tents, campfires burning and rough log cabins and bark huts about the whole area. It would have been a very dynamic place. In October 1858, the Beechworth newspaper, the Ovens and Murray Advertiser, published a little snippet on the Growlers Creek diggings. And it goes like this. About 5 miles up from Morses Creek from the Ovens River, there is a small and I believe a handsomely remunerative diggings known as Growlers Creek. But for what reason it has received such a unique cognomen, I am unable to state, for the diggers generally appear to be a set of merry fellows as ever threw care to the winds. Well, as this article was being printed, events were unfolding up in the hills that would change the focus of the miners from the streams up to the quartz reefs. The discovery of quartz reefs up on Oriental Hill and in Growlers Creek in late 1858 saw a transformation from a canvas mining town to a booming principal centre of the Upper Ovens goldfields. It was considered by the press at the time that the residents of Growlers Creek had gone quartz mad. Some 300 gold-bearing quartz reefs would be discovered over the next decades. This new booming industry saw a hive of activity in this area with stores, shanties, pubs and other public buildings erected along the Morses Creek Road. Rough population figures at this time show a population of 2,500 people in this valley, and more detailed figures show that there were some 600 miners employed in the hills in the late 1860s. January of 1860, the residents of Growlers Creek were stopped dead in their tracks at an unearthly screeching coming up from that end of the valley. No sooner than that unearthly noise had stopped, then another unearthly screeching emanated from down that end of the valley. What this noise was two rival steam boilers getting up their pressure for the first time, and they were celebrating this auspicious event by the sounding of their steam whistles. The industrial age had arrived in the valley for the first time. Over the years, 6 stamp batteries were to operate within the township of Wandiligong itself. Of these, there was Stevens Mill, Gitchell's Mill, Gill's Mill among others. The largest battery, however, was the Great Oriental Mill, and this massive 32-head stamp battery was the largest in the district. This mill during the peak years was to operate 24 hours a day, 6 days a week, only stopping on Saturday nights for Sunday's day of rest. Wandiligong as we know it today is a pretty scene of quaint little cottages and lacey curtains blowing in the breeze. But back in the gold mining days, it was a dynamic industrial place. The constant turning of water wheels and the hiss and steam of steam engines and the forever constant pounding of stamp batteries. Now in 1872, the Growlers Township officially became known as Wandiligong. And Wandiligong was still principally a quartz mining town at this stage and would be for the next few decades. Over the years, however, other types of gold mining took place. They included the alluvial mining, which involved a large number of Chinese who established a strong community in this area for several decades. There was also the deep lead mines that tapped the old alluvial channels 100 feet more under the old ancient riverbeds. As well as that, there was also the bucket dredgers in the early 1900s. It was the mining of the quartz reefs that were to play the most significant role in the history of this valley. And there is still evidence of this mode of mining in the hills around us. And it's into the hills we're about to now go on a roving tour of some of the quartz mines of Wandiligong, a voyage of rediscovery of this forgotten history.